What's going on, everybody? Yeah, this is the second episode of Let's Talk, the new thing that I'm trying to do. Yeah, so I've got the games here that I've watched this week. There are a lot of games, obviously the Champions League being in between as well, and I've got a lot of food so that we could talk for quite a while. So yeah, what else do I need? Nothing. So let's get right into it. So, like I said, there was a lot of games this week, obviously with the Champions League going on and everything. But the very first game, or the very first games that I watched were Barcelona versus Atletico and Bayern versus Benfica. Now, looking at Barcelona versus Atletico match, that was actually a very interesting match because I thought that Atletico did everything right. I thought that Barcelona looked particularly poor. They had a few great chances. I think Neymar had like a free header that he didn't convert. And, Atletico, they had a lot of good chances in the first half as well. But ultimately, it came down to when Torres got sent off. And obviously, that sparked the whole, and when Torres got sent off and Suarez didn't. And then that sparked the whole UEFA loan and whatnot. Now, I've always been of the same mind. I don't like criticizing referees. I know I've done it much more lately than I have ever done it. But I, in general, don't like criticizing referees just because they're doing their job. They have to see something in real time, which it's difficult for us to see. Maybe sometimes with 2 or 3 replays. So that's why I'm always on the side of the referees unless it's like something stupid. And one of the Suarez, from what I can remember, the referee actually looked directly at Suarez, doing his antics, and he didn't send him off. So for me, that you could say that he should be sent off, and the ref should have seen it. The ref should have booked him. So now the question is obviously, do Barcelona have are the refs on their side? And I have to say no. It's in general always like that bigger teams, when you have more possession, more calls will go in your favor. Simply because obviously you have more action with the ball, so that you're able to be in more dangerous situations and draw more fouls. So for me, that's just the way it is. But also looking at Atletico, let's shifting the focus from Barcelona to Atletico. I think Atletico, they did really well in the match. Playing that good against Barcelona away from home, that's a real big achievement. So if they could do something similar, maybe get a goal or 2 at home, then I think they'll have done well, because obviously they're much better defensively. And having looked at how Barcelona have played recently, I'd actually give the edge to Atletico. I think that they're in a much better position than a lot of people thought they would be prior to the draw, or prior to the match, should I say. And I do think that they have a chance to progress. The question is, will they be able to? Because they did really well defensively in the first leg, but can they do it in the second leg as well? If they can, I can see them go through. If they can't, then it's going to be much more difficult to do so, because you're not going to score 5 goals while conceding 4, and that's not really going to work out, because once you go all out attacking, Barcelona, they're just going to counter you. So with the front 3 they have up front, it's difficult to actually be able to keep a clean sheet when you go all out attacking. So Atletico, I do think you have a good chance it's probably your best chance in terms of point in the season, where Barcelona is the weakest. So if anyone can do it, it's basically you right now. But then obviously Bayern vs Benfica, there isn't that much to talk about, besides that obviously it's a 1-0 win. Ultimately it's a good result because we didn't concede a goal. But we have to go to Benfica, who have been pretty good this weekend. From what I've read, they won the match in the Portuguese league, but not convincingly, which shows that they're struggling a little bit as well. But to be fair to them, they rested a lot of players, so they are up for the battle, they're up for the task, and it's going to be up to us. We're going to have to score, and that's the key thing in this match. We're going to have to score. I think our defense, I'm actually not that worried with our defense, if I'm being totally honest here. But I'm much more worried about our offense at this point, which is kind of funny because that's only our strong point. But yeah, like I said, we're going to have to go there, and we're going to have to do well. But obviously, I'll talk more about that tomorrow actually, in the preview. But next up, Wolfsburg versus Real Madrid. And just at this point, just let me quickly get a drink, because I need one. Alright. So Wolfsburg versus Real Madrid. Wow, what a game that was. What a fantastic game that was. Now, I actually knew that Wolfsburg, they had a good chance. Don't get me wrong. The whole time I was thinking, yeah, they're gonna do it. But I was being a bit sarcastic as well. I was just joking around and saying, oh, they're gonna win 4-1. But then when they actually played the game, I was like, Real Madrid looked good in the first 10 opening minutes or so. But Wolfsburg, they just held a good line. And the few times that they did go forward in the first 10 minutes or so, they always looked very dangerous. So for me, it was like a case of, if Wolfsburg can definitely get a goal here, because Real Madrid, they've been pretty vulnerable in defense for a long time, and Draxler especially, he looked absolutely amazing in the match. I thought Gustavo did really well in that match as well. Obviously, the defense of Wolfsburg as well as Rodrigo. I thought in general Wolfsburg just had a really good performance. But the thing is, it's a 2-0 result against Real Madrid. You always have to be careful with Real Madrid, because obviously they can score goals out of nowhere. They've got Ronaldo, who, even though this is like his worst season in his career or whatever, or his worst season in years, he has still scored 30 goals. So he is a goal scorer. You can always count on him to score goals. So that's why Wolfsburg will have to be careful. Now, looking at how vulnerable Real Madrid were in that match, you could say that Wolfsburg, when they're going to play against Real Madrid, that they are going to do the same plan, basically be defensively sure and then go for the counters. And I think that would really work well, especially with how Real Madrid like to bomb forward, with obviously Marcelo, and in this case it was who was it that played on the right wing for them? I can't remember, but with Marcelo, and I think it was Danilo bombing forward, leaving a lot of space behind him. So likes of Draxler can obviously expose that, and now obviously Bastos back. They could also be a threat through aerial, through corners and through free kicks and whatnot, which they weren't really in the first match. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting match, that one. But I'm hoping that Wolfsburg can do it. I don't think Real Madrid are going to score 4 goals against them. So Wolfsburg, for me, they just need 1 goal and they're as good as through. Yeah, that's what I think. Next up, though, PSG versus Manchester City, which ended obviously as a 2-2 draw. And overall, I thought that both teams played really bad. But more so Manchester City, if I'm being honest here. I think Manchester City didn't actually play that good. But they were lucky that obviously PSG, they rely on David Luiz, and he really struggled against Kevin De Bruyne. And it just shows you how good Kevin De Bruyne is, that he's able to just do that against all the teams. So we obviously linked to him. Would I have wanted him? Yeah, I would have. But I would never have paid the price that Manchester City paid. But he was just that good that, you'd think, yeah, you want him in the team. And that's what... He could really be like the big player for Manchester City, and I think that he might be the reason why they might go through against PSG in a matchup where I thought that PSG would totally dominate that match, but they didn't, and it just shows you that PSG, they have a fantastic team, but they still have issues in midfield. They don't have the squad depth to handle 1 or 2 injuries in the midfield, and that's really how Manchester City had an edge. Had a little thing over them. But the funny thing is, and I was thinking about that the whole week. What if Manchester City make it to the final, play against Bayern Munich, but then are out of the Champions League final in terms of league? So that, let's say they're 6th in the Premier League and they're out, so basically out of the Champions League, and then they have to play against Bayern Munich in the final, and then Pep knocks Manchester City out, obviously because he's moving to Manchester City next season, so he would basically knock himself out from the Champions League. How funny would that be? But yeah, if he were to lose that match, the stories would be unbearable. But yeah, that's just an interesting food for thought. Next up, the El Kloppico, Dortmund versus Liverpool, and honestly, I was looking forward to that match, but I just couldn't stand the way that people were just hyping up. Oh, we're gonna hear "You'll Never Walk Alone," proud and so loud and everything. And I was like, yeah, that's all good and fun and everything, but why are you looking forward more to people singing a song than the actual match? And that's just the way it has been. People are looking forward to the song more than the actual match, whereas I was looking forward to the match, and I didn't really care about the song. Let's face it. But yeah, that match, I thought that Dortmund they went for the wrong approach. For me, it just seemed like they didn't want to attack. They wanted just to control the game, which at the end of the day, that's a good thing to go for. But when Liverpool scored a goal, I thought that they should have really gone for it. They really because it just seemed like they didn't know what to do, and especially with Hummels. their centre backs Bender and then obviously Socrates, every time they got the ball, they didn't actually play it forward. They always passed it to Hummels, causing him to be marked, and then him having to basically play the pass forward. So for me, Gundogan, if he's back, he's going to be a huge thing. And also the centre-backs of Dortmund, they have to play the ball forward a lot more, not just rely on Hummels that much. But yeah, I was thinking about that as well today in the morning, that you look at all the good centre-backs for Germany, and we have Badstuber, we have Boateng, and we have Hummels. Now, all of them are pretty amazing passing. You look at Revierderby, he's probably the only one that isn't that great at passing. But you look at the next generation of German centre-backs, you have like Tai and Süle and whatnot, and they're all pretty decent at passing as well. So, yeah, it's just the coaching, it's just the, the way players are drilled at young, how to play as a centre-back. So I thought that was pretty cool to note. But yeah, who do I think will go for in the second match? I do think that Dortmund have the edge, but obviously they're playing against Liverpool away, so that's always a dangerous place to go to. But we'll see. I do think that Dortmund, if they're going to go for a much more attacking approach, especially with Gundogan back, that they're really going to shine and they're really going to make it. But anyway, next up, Hertha vs Hanover. And that game, there's not much that I want to talk about that game. I don't want to really talk about it that much. But it was just interesting to see that, Hertha Berlin, who obviously were third, I think they're still third. They've been struggling a lot recently. First with getting destroyed by Gladbach last week, and now drawing 2-2 against Hanover, who realistically should be should be wiped away, especially at home. You just think about it and you're just thinking, yeah, is this maybe the downfall for Hertha Berlin? Because I was, I'm always of the belief that if you can do it for 20 games in the season, you're not going to crumble in the last 10 unless like something big happens. But it's with Hertha Berlin right now, it seems like they're crumbling, and it's a little bit weird, but I don't want them to crumble because they're basically the surprise package. I don't want to see Weiser in the Champions League just to see how he does against bigger teams as a right back, and if that's the case, then we can obviously see if he could potentially be our right back solution for the future. Obviously that would mean that he would have to come back, but I think that him and Alaba being best buddies could mean that we come back. But like I said, I want to see him as a right back against top players in the Champions League first before I make my decision. But what do you guys think? Is Hertha Berlin, falling down right now? I think that they can make it. They can stand back up. But that's what I think. Now, next up, West Ham versus Arsenal. And I only saw the second half, to be fair. But obviously, who was it? Andy Carroll scored a hat-trick, and yeah, like I said, I only watched the second half, but when I started watching it was just like, all I saw was West Ham just really go for it, your score here, create challenge here, and I just look at Arsenal. I've always been of the same opinion because I've got a lot of Arsenal fans, and in 2013 and 2014 I watched a lot of Arsenal games as well. With obviously the Euros coming up, which is why I'm watching so many games this year, because obviously with the World Cup back then coming up, and now obviously the Euros coming up, so I try and watch all the teams that have Germans in them, because I'm a scout, okay. Leave me alone. So yeah, I watched a bit of Arsenal this season, and for me, Arsenal always have the same problem. They always did have the same problem, and they will always have the same problem, and that really is mentality. They can't handle pressure. When they're under pressure, they crumble. Like they really do. They really crumble. But when they when it's a game that they should win or whatever, then they don't crumble. And against West Ham, they did have to win to keep up with the title challenge, and they didn't do that. West Ham, they're coming up the table. They could potentially get that fourth spot, which would be crazy. Imagine having Leicester City, Tottenham, West Ham, and Arsenal in the Champions League next season. That's crazy. That's crazy. Same with Hertha Berlin. You have just these incredible stories this season. So, yeah, for me, Arsenal, they need to sort their thing out. They need to sort the mentality out. I know they can't really just sort your mentality out unless you get either rid of the player or the manager. For me, Wenger needs to go. He needed to go for like 3 years or so. Even one of my best friends who's an Arsenal fan, he stopped supporting Arsenal. He didn't stop supporting Arsenal, but he stopped watching Arsenal, and now he's focusing on UFC because he can't stand Wenger, and he said that he's not going to watch until Wenger goes anymore, which is just stupid. But yeah, like I said, that was West Ham versus Arsenal. Just let me get a drink again. Yeah, I don't like talking for that long, but yeah. Next up, we have Stuttgart versus Frankfurt, and yeah, that was quite an interesting match. No, Stuttgart versus Frankfurt. I can't read my own handwriting. Stuttgart versus FC Bayern, and obviously the big talking point was Vidal being subbed off after 27 minutes. So you just have that point now. He came out and obviously he said that ultimately it was a good decision and whatnot, because obviously he was close to losing it. But yeah, one player I really want to talk about though is Tasky, because he obviously came out today and he said that he if he knew that he didn't get any playing time at Bayern, that he wouldn't have moved here. And I do feel sorry for him, because when he came, he got obviously a concussion, so Pep had to play Kimmich, and then Kimmich became a success. So ultimately, I do feel sorry for him, and it could have gone much, it could have gone much better for him at Bayern. But I also think that training for half a year under Pep is still an amazing thing, because he teaches defensive centre-backs and whatnot how to play perfectly, how to be in perfect position, how to be in perfect shape, how to press, how to not press, how to fall back, all these kind of things that he'll have worked on in training. All these kind of things are going to be very important that he can take with him in the future. And that's why I think that although he didn't get much playing time with us, I feel like it's still not wasted time in my opinion. But next up, Wolfsburg versus Mainz, and I have to say, there's only going to be a quick talk about that, Wolfsburg versus Mainz. I have to say that Schürrle, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Schürrle actually kind of impressed me in that match. He actually kind of impressed me in the match, which doesn't happen. He's been pretty poor for Wolfsburg, to be fair, and the fact that he impressed me in that match just says a lot. And it's just one of those rare matches, but I honestly thought that Wolfsburg was going to get that win, but they didn't manage to do that. They ended up as a draw, which just shows you that although you might be a better team, as long if you don't score the goals, you're not going to go through, and that's why I really want us to score goals against Benfica. But next up, obviously, Schalke versus Dortmund, Revierderby. Yeah, it was an alright match. The first half was pretty boring, in fact, but the second half it just obviously lit up. And I thought that although Dortmund, they played with their second squad, they still played amazing. They led twice, only to obviously give the lead away twice, which just shows you that it's over. It's over. Basically, the league is over at this point. We're 7 points clear. We have to win our next 2 matches, and if Dortmund drop any points, then we've basically won it already. So it's as good as over. We still have to play our tough games, but I can't see us lose it now. I couldn't see us lose it before, to be fair, although we've been in a rough patch lately. But yeah, now I think it's officially over. Tuchel, he looked at the Europa League, and he looked at the Bundesliga, and he thought that the Europa League is our best chance for a trophy, along with the DFB Pokal. So let's prioritize the Europa League, and that's exactly what they did. And yeah, good thing was though that Gundogan got back, because he's going to be an important player for us at the World Cup, at the Euros, so that's important. But next up, Liverpool versus Stoke. Yeah, I watched that match. I was thinking about watching Manchester United versus Tottenham or Liverpool versus Stoke. I went with Liverpool versus Stoke just because obviously the big match happening against Dortmund in the coming week in the Europa League. And I said this before, because I've been watching quite a lot of Liverpool this season, and I said this before, that Origi for Liverpool, the young striker, I think he's 21, he is actually really good. I thought, for me, he should be the main striker this season. And I spoke to a lot of people, because obviously I live quite close to a lot of Liverpool fans, and I know a lot of Liverpool fans at my university. So I've spoken to quite a lot of them, and they agree as well that he's probably the best striker at this point in the season. And I was thinking, obviously we're looking for a young striker. Obviously getting him would be quite expensive, but I still think that he'll show his quality, and give it 3 or 4 years time, and he'll be one of the top strikers. So I think that he could possibly be like a second striker. Switch with he would offer a lot more pace than the likes of Lewandowski and Müller. He can also play on the wing, so you have that bonus as well. And I think he's only 21 years old, so maybe if we put like a 30 million euro bid on him, we'll probably get him. And it's just an interesting take. He hasn't really lit up the season, but every time I've seen him play, he looked really good. And it's just it's just food for thought in this opinion. But they won 4-1. I believe he scored 2 goals. He could have gotten a third goal as well, but then he gave a pass instead of trying to take it himself. So that just tells you a lot about his character as well, which I find quite interesting. And last but not least, Köln versus Leverkusen. I only put half an eye on that, so I didn't actually properly watch that match. I had it on TV, looked at a few times on it, but that's about it. But the 2 goals that Leverkusen scored, I thought were pretty cool. Brandt obviously doing his magic, and Bellarabi, he got 2 assists. The second one especially I thought was pretty good. The first one was a good counter, or good attack, should I say, quick attack, whereas the second one was obviously a great turn of him to give the ball to give the ball to Chicharito, and obviously Chicharito has scored a lot of goals this season. So they're an interesting team, Leverkusen, because they normally do so well, but then they normally do so well attacking wise, but then just drop off so badly defensive wise. So for me, that's the one area that they'll have to improve on. Just defensive organization and defensive shape, and they'll be a top 4 team. Do I think they can make it into the top 4 of the Bundesliga this season? I think that ship has sailed. I think potentially they're going to make it to 5th place, maybe 6th place, but we'll see. So that is all the matches that I've seen this week. Not any Serie A matches. Although I did watch the I think it was Juventus versus AC Milan, or AC Milan versus Juventus. I don't know who was at home, but I've only had half an eye on it, and from what I saw, I can't believe I'm saying this as well, because he's in the same category as Schürrle for me. Finn played pretty well, Balotelli played pretty well, and you don't really say that much. But yeah, those are all the matches that I've seen. Now, I was asked last week to talk about the Gea versus Neuer, this whole debate, and I thought that'd be an interesting thing to talk about on here. Have one debate or one topic to talk about besides the matches that I've watched, and yeah, I do have to say that's quite interesting. Obviously, United fans will say De Gea. Spanish internationals people from Spain will say De Gea as well, and then you have obviously the Germans say Neuer, Bayern fans say Neuer. And you have Italians say Buffon, you have Juventus fans say Buffon, you have all these kind of things. So it's difficult. How do you define the best keeper? Now I'll get into how you define the best keeper, what I think is great about both of them, and then I get into who I think is the best one. But yeah, how do you define a good keeper? Now, a good keeper, he needs to have consistency. Yeah, consistency is the main part. You can't be amazing one week and then be awful next week. Now, a good keeper needs to have consistency. He needs to be well balanced in terms of passing, in terms of positioning, in terms of obviously making saves. All these kind of things you need to look at. And for me, in terms of saves, I'd put De Gea and Neuer on the same level. Now, obviously, Neuer, he has the extra factor of obviously being a super keeper. So, but that is really because of our system. If we played a less, if our centre backs and whatnot push up the field a lot less, Neuer wouldn't go out of his net that much, and he hasn't really done so in 2016 either, to be fair. So yeah, it just depends. Neuer is able to adapt to different system, whereas De Gea is not, I feel, and that is because of De Gea's biggest weakness, in my opinion, which is his positioning. Now, although he's got world-class reflexes, his positioning is awful. A lot of times when I see him concede goals, it's because he just leaves one side open, and that's obviously where the shot is being taken. Now, often he makes up with that. He makes up with it with his reflexes and whatnot, but his positioning itself isn't that good as a keeper. You always want to close down angles, but he always gets beaten on the near post, which just says a lot about his positioning as a whole. That he's not closing the angle down properly, and that he's letting balls go through on a near post. So all these kind of things, that's, in my opinion, that's De Gea's biggest weakness. Neuer's biggest weakness, in my opinion, is that that he likes taking risks. I guess that you could say that's his biggest weakness. He likes taking risks. Now, yeah, I'm saying that his biggest weakness is that he likes taking risks, but the thing is that he hasn't been that hasn't cost us that much, to be fair. Now, what I mean by risk, I'm not talking about running out the goalpost and trying to sweep it up and everything, but I'm talking about just in general taking risk. Like he likes playing possession, he likes passing the ball around, and obviously lately that has gone awful. Like, for me, his passing this season, his passing in 2016 has been pretty poor, to be fair. It honestly has been, and I think that's the one area that I don't know what it is this season, because normally he's an excellent passer. He's so confident on the ball, but this season he's not looked that good on the ball. Neuer's best season potentially was actually last season, in my opinion, because everything last season went right for him. He was able to do sweeping properly, he was able to pass properly, he made incredible saves. This season he still makes the incredible saves. when he's called upon, he doesn't make the sweeping, but his passing has been poor. And against Juventus, it should have actually cost us. In other matches, it should have cost us. So yeah, there's a lot of times that his passing could cost us because he's not getting the ball high up enough in the ground, in the air, and that means that they can win the ball back quickly and try and launch an attack. So that's probably Neuer's biggest weakness this season. Like I said, last season he was fantastic. The year before he was fantastic, but this season he struggles a lot with it. But yeah, like I said, they're basically pretty equal. Both have an incredible weakness, though. Obviously, Neuer this season passing, De Gea is his positioning. But overall, who would I take? Who would I say is a better keeper? And I have to go with Neuer. I'm sorry, people. Neuer is the better keeper, and De Gea is an incredible keeper. I would probably put him as a third best keeper this season. I put Buffon as the second best keeper because he's just been incredible this season. But De Gea, he hasn't been that good this season. But if I were to buy a new keeper, right? If let's say I had my own football club right now, right? And I had 100 million to spend, which keeper would I get? I would get De Gea. Instead over Neuer or over Buffon, I would get De Gea, and the reason for that is quite simple. The way I look at Neuer and De Gea is that one is a golden apple, and one is an apple that is to be painted gold. So Neuer is a golden apple. He's already established. He's already amazing. But De Gea, he's an apple that is waiting to be painted gold. So right now he's performing great every season, but there's going to be a time when he's going to have a breakout season, and that's the point where he's going to become one of the best keepers, maybe the best keeper in the world. But I think that is about 3 or 4 years to go. And until then, Neuer's ahead of him. And in terms of this season, I put Buffon ahead of him. But that's what I think, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what you guys think. Like I said, I think Neuer's the better keeper. They're both at an incredible level, but I'd still put Neuer over him. Like I said, De Gea's biggest problem for me is his positioning. Honestly, it is his positioning that, and that's a huge part, obviously, being a goalkeeper. So I think that he needs a coach, I don't know how you're gonna really coach positioning, but he needs to work on it. He needs to read the game much better, and if he does, then he'll become so much of a better keeper. But that's just what I think. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, people, this was Mirza and Mir TV, and you can rate, you can favorite, and you can comment and subscribe. And peace out, and please have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.